We learn early on how to divide the world. We draw lines. On one side is us, the people who belong, and on the other side is them. In the biblical book of Genesis, Abram and Sarai are the ultimate insiders. God specifically chose this couple, making a covenant with them to bring blessing to the rest of the world. Then there is Hagar. She is the ultimate outsider. She is an Egyptian, a foreigner, and an enslaved woman with no authority over her own body or future. When the people inside the circle hold unchecked power, those on the outside become vulnerable. They get stripped of their humanity, viewed not as equals but as tools to be used for someone else's advantage. 10 years after God promises Abram a son, Sarai is still unable to conceive. Growing impatient, she devises a plan to help God out, ordering Hagar to act as a reproductive surrogate. Throughout this process, Abram and Sarai refuse to even use Hagar's name. They refer to her exclusively as your slave woman or this slave woman, completely erasing her identity. Once Hagar becomes pregnant, tensions rise, and Sarai begins to aggressively mistreat her. The abuse becomes so severe that Hagar is forced to flee into the deadly, unforgiving wilderness just to survive. The ancient Israelite authors are writing about the revered founders of their own nation. Why would they deliberately record Abram and Sarai acting like oppressive villains toward a powerless outsider? Out in that lethal isolation, God actively seeks Hagar out. He does not take the side of his chosen insiders. Instead, he offers Hagar a promise of descendants that echoes the one he gave to Abram. In response, she becomes the only person in Scripture to name God, calling him El Roi, the God who sees me. To understand what the writers are doing, we have to look at their history. The Israelites recorded this narrative after they survived 400 years of brutal enslavement in Egypt. This perfectly mirrors their own national trauma. In Exodus, Israelites are enslaved by Egyptians, flee, and miraculously meet God. In Genesis, an Egyptian is enslaved by Israelites, flees, and miraculously meets God. The text uses the same Hebrew word, anah, oppression, describing both abuses. The writers weaponized their own history to make a point. Being chosen does not make a group immune to becoming the oppressor. Years later, this tribalism flares up again. Sarah sees Hagar's now teenage son, Ishmael, as a threat to her own child's inheritance. She demands that Abraham permanently banish them both. Abraham sends them off with a single skin of water. When it inevitably runs dry in the arid desert valley, a desperate Hagar places her son under a bush and walks away, weeping, unable to watch him die. But God intervenes directly, fulfilling the literal meaning of Ishmael's name, which translates to God hears. He responds to the dying boy's cries. God opens Hagar's eyes to a hidden well of water nearby, and in this moment, he addresses her simply as Hagar. He drops the title of slave woman and declares her free. When the human patriarch of the chosen family fails to provide and protect, God steps in as the true father, rescuing the outcast from certain death. God's original covenant with Abraham was designed to be a vehicle to bless all nations. It was never meant to be an exclusive VIP club. When Abraham and Sarah failed that global mission, God simply bypassed them. He delivered his blessing to the marginalized outsider directly. Hagar's survival dismantles the human urge to build hierarchies. It proves that divine love ignores the borders we draw in the dirt. God intensely cherishes the invisible, the outcast, and the oppressed, the exact people society tells us to push aside. True righteousness requires us to adopt the vision of El Roi. We have to erase our tribal lines and choose to see, hear, and honor everyone.